Hey, what's up? This is Ada Era here. Last season, SS19 Acronym released an updated version to their P30 silhouette called the P30-A DS, and that's something that added some extra functionality. It's also the pair of pants that I picked up that season. Now, the reason that I'm referring to this video as a quick look, or I've probably called it something like that in the title, rather than a review, is because unfortunately, I didn't keep these pants. I ended up returning them. That was based on sizing issues, which I'm going to talk about during this video because it is going to be something that's important. But nonetheless, I got quite a lot of on-body shots and that sort of thing, and I can give you guys my experience with these pants, so hopefully they'll provide some useful information, particularly when it comes to sizing on not these pants specifically, but any Acronym pant that comes with this oversized fit, the oversized fit on the waist specifically. Anyway, these come in at a shade over 1,000 euros retail, making them pretty bonkers money, to be fair, and far over any similar alternatives, probably most similar being the Antwon Aldat pants that we took a look at a couple of weeks ago, and you might have seen pop up on Instagram recently too. They come in at something like a third of the price, about 360 euros, I think, for the dry skin version, but we're going to look at what makes the P30-A DS a uniquely Acronym product, taking a look at that construction, the material, the fit, and of course some of those interesting features too. The key element to the P30-A DS is in their fit. Acronym describe these as the second lowest of the low, and in terms of drop crotch and overall oversized nature, these are indeed second only to the P25 DS, which are almost floor length in terms of how low that drop crotch is. The silhouette therefore is extremely distinctive. These are even more exaggerated than most harem pants are. That means that they have a lot of presence overall, and it's very easy for an outfit to come out looking extremely bottom heavy with these pants. That said, if you plan on doing lots of layering, wearing things that are a bit more oversized on the top half as well, then that's the way to make the most of these pants. And fortunately, a lot of Acronym products do fit into that sort of category. So you will find, if you're investing in this Acronym ecosystem, that you'll probably find lots of nice ways to complement these pants quite well, with some nice big jackets, keeping things open, some different layering options. Anything like that can work pretty nicely. The cut definitely has its place aesthetically, especially when viewed through that Acronym lens. You'll notice it's not just a drop crotch as such, but there's actually a lot of excess material around the crotch. That can look a little bit unflattering, to be honest, because there is just so much there, and because of that shoulder dry skin material that Acronym have used, it does have a little bit of structure to it, so it can, when not in motion, drape in quite a strange way, and it can kind of almost get stuck in some weird, unflattering positions. However, the converse of that is that while you might imagine a drop crotch to be a bit restrictive, certainly compared to a regular pair of cargos or a pair of trousers, you actually have a massive freedom of movement in these. It's certainly not going to impede your movement at all. So if you're going on any crazy ninja missions, you're doing some parkour, showing off your ninja abilities, whatever, these aren't going to let you down in that respect. And that also means that in motion, when these things are swishing around and that drop crotch is actually kind of moving and not just stuck in one fairly rigid place, things actually start looking a lot better. You'll also never get that cloying feeling of material being close to the skin, particularly in warmer weather. So for actually moving around and doing stuff in, these pants are extremely comfortable and useful. To add to the comfort, the waist doesn't have belt loops or traditional elastic, but instead two belt cords that you can use to cinch these into your exact preferred tightness. That also gives you that nice signature techwear double dangle, so you'll have two excess bits of material dangling down on each leg. I think that looks pretty cool. I think it's a better look than the Aldat pants, which use a single dangle to pull in that excess material. And it falls in line with that strap-heavy functional look that people often like to go for when it comes to techwear. You might think then, how do you pick the correct size for these when the waist is, when uncinched, so massive and there is in general so much space in these pants? And that's a question I probably should have thought a little harder about before I bought these, because the only thing that really changes in a significant way between the sizes is in terms of the length and the inseam. So I bought these in a medium. Unfortunately, that means that, as you might be able to see in this video, that these have come up a little bit too short on me. If you're a little bit over over 6 foot like me, then large is definitely going to be the way to go for these oversized Acronym pants. If you're coming in just under 6 foot, that's the point that you should be looking at medium. And you'll see in these clips here, if I was a couple of inches shorter than I actually am, then these pants would have been much better. And if you're a bit on the shorter side, maybe that mid 5 foot kind of area, maybe a tiny bit over that, that's the point that you should be looking at size S. You could also compare the measurements of a pair of pants that you like with the measurements of these on the Acronym website, and then hopefully you'll find something that is vaguely comparable and you can get the correct leg length. On the regular P30, ironically, the length actually wouldn't matter as much because they do come in with a cropped shape. So if they're a little bit more or a little bit less cropped, it's a bit more down to personal preference. The P30A though adds this zip-off segment at the bottom, which turns them into a full-length pant if you want them to. So that's the point where you really do want the full-length section to be properly full-length and not, as they are here, a little bit cropped. That zip-off section gives them a nice tapered shape if that's something you want, and like the Antwon L DATS pants, it also, I think, represents good functionality because you've got not only multiple ways to wear this from a seasonal perspective. If it's a little bit colder, keep them full length. If it's a bit warmer, then you can shorten them and you get that breeziness aspect, but it also represents two different ways to wear and style the same pair of pants. And when you're dropping €1,000 on one thing, ideally you want to get as many different looks out of it as possible. The material itself also helps with comfort and flexibility, that shoulder dry skin offering 4-way stretch characteristics, a nice level of breathability, and you've got water resistance too, so hopefully you'll find these wearable in a variety of different conditions. If you need to make use of that water resistance, then you can. If you need to make use of the high level of breathability, or just zip things off and keep yourself a little bit cooler, then you can do that as well. Potentially a 3 to 4 season pant here. It's the pocket configuration though that helps set these pants apart from other wide dropped pants like the Antwon L DATS, and to be honest, pretty much anything else on the market. You'll find there's 2 front pockets, 2 back ones, none of which are zipped, but all fairly deep and fairly comfy and roomy. There's also 2 phone pockets, 1 to each thigh, so you can make use of these whether you're a lefty or a righty. And they even fit my nice big thick Pixel 3 XL in there. So whatever phone you've got, you'll pretty much be fine making use of those pockets. Of most interest though is the cargo pockets, and this is something that you're not that likely to see on a pair of pants like this. And they do have a very distinctive look. They have this 3-dimensional shape, yet don't additionally bulk out the pants too much, and they don't look too out of place. Even though these pockets are very deep and very roomy, they're shaped in such a way that when you put things in them, those contents will naturally fall to the front of the leg, so they're not going to swing about wildly when you're walking around in them. Also of interest is the unique opening to these. There's a zip on them, but you'll find it on the reverse of a material flap on the top of these pockets, meaning that it conceals the look of the zip, so you've got a much cleaner look than you would have otherwise, but it's still very easy to access because you can just fold that flap down and then unzip away. It also gives you a little bit of purchase, so you can easily use both hands to open and close those zips with no real difficulty. This kind of thought out design, which differs to the norm without being overly gimmicky or even necessarily something that you'd notice at first glance, is very much a hallmark of Acronym's design process. So it's definitely a good thing, and it's really cool to see that incorporated into these pants, over and above the interesting and unique cut in itself. Annoyingly, because I did return these, I didn't have the foresight to film myself in a bunch of different outfits, but it goes without saying really that the unusual cut of these demands some balance. You certainly don't want to be working against these oversized proportions and the drop crotch. So wearing something super slim cut or super fitted on the top half probably is not going to cut it. The main thing you want to avoid basically is that full diaper, super bottom heavy look. So I did take a quick clip of me wearing my other Acronym clothing piece, the CP4, the Acronym cape, which is also from the same season. The super extended proportions of that I think make a pretty nice combo, and let's face it, if you've got 2 Acronym pieces, you basically have to flex and wear them together. It's the law. Also, I wore the kind of similar looking L DATS pants last week in an Instagram outfit, so that as well can give you some idea of how you might want to go about styling these. So I've got a couple of different layers. I think leaving things undone kind of allows that width to extend down the whole silhouette, so I think that does a good job of balancing things, but there's a whole bunch of different ways you could experiment with these pants. I also think that wide cropped pants are a great way to wear the Acronym VaporMax, which I feel like are kind of a hard shoe to style, honestly. So for that reason, I've been wearing them a lot through this video, and you'll also probably see me wearing them with the Aldats pants as well, because as I say, they got a similar fit. The two just seem to look pretty nice together. I think it's that contrast between a nice wide pant and a nice sleek shoe, especially something that's as attention grabbing as the VaporMax. If you have something that's really thin and then that, it almost is a bit too overblown, but the extra width from a nice wide P30 kind of balances out the wackiness of the VaporMax with the width of the pant. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it works for me. I actually quite like these pants, so it was a shame that they weren't perfect and I had to return them, but if you're gonna drop $1,000 on a pair of pants, you really do want them to be exactly the right size. But next time, armed with the knowledge I have now, I'll definitely do a better job of picking the right size of Acronym pants, particularly something that comes up similarly to the P30, and hopefully, if you watch this video, then you'll come away with that information as well, and maybe it will be useful for you if you ever pick up any Acronym gear in future seasons. The Aldats might not be able to match the functionality of the P30-A DS, and as I mentioned in this video, some of the elements are not quite as good, but they can be made from the same material, they have some of the same functionality, some of the same look, and coming in at about 1/3 of the price, I do think that that makes them a viable alternative. So you're interested in this silhouette, let's say, but you don't want to drop quite as much money, then they are something that you could consider as well. Those are my thoughts on the Acronym P30-A DS. Hope you guys like them. Let me know what you think of them down there in the comments. I know the AW1920 is coming out now for Acronym. Not sure if I'm going to pick anything up from this season, but if you feel like there's something that's particularly good, or if you've picked up any Acronym stuff this season, then definitely let me know down there in the comments, and I'll check it out for sure. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like because it's much appreciated, and we will see you, maybe not next week actually, I might have to do a little bit of a break, but the week after that. Anyway, we'll see you very soon in the next video. Shout out for everyone who left their thoughts on last week's video about fast fashion. There were some really good, really insightful comments in there, which a lot of you guys were kind of engaging with as well, which was really cool to see. So we've got Callum saying that he really hopes it does die because it's not sustainable. And he's found that his life has very much improved by not buying fast fashion stuff anymore. Diego as well, saying that he was spending so much money on fast fashion stuff that he may as well have been buying the more expensive gear instead because it would have lasted longer. And conversely, you've got Mr. Castrator, great name, saying that fast fashion will always be a necessity to some extent because you sometimes are in those situations where you just don't need or want to spend a large amount of money on a fashionable product. Maybe you've got to put something together last minute, you know you're only going to wear it once or twice, whatever, you just don't want to make the investment. And shout out to Austin Powell, yes, time for the proletariat to rise up. Mark my words, it's happening. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more stuff, there's going to be links going up there at the top, and if you haven't subscribed yet, then you should definitely consider doing so because there's going to be a whole bunch of cool techwear stuff coming up in the future. We got product videos, we got reviews, we got sneaker stuff, we got, I don't know, other things that I haven't even thought of yet, but they're coming, you mark my words. So you can be subscribed and you can see it first.